friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to show you how to do the double crochet stitch. This stitch is a little bit gappy. It's great for dishcloths and lots of other projects, but it is definitely one of the staple stitches you have to have in your repertoire. If you want to learn how to do the double crochet stitch, keep watching. For this project, you're going to need some yarn. I'm using this number 3, number 4 weight Bernat Handicrafter cotton. You'll also need a crochet hook. I'm going to be using a 4mm hook today. You'll also need some scissors and a yarn needle to weave in your ends. For this project, we're going to make a dishcloth as our stitch sampler. So gather your supplies and let's jump in. We're going to begin in a way that we do for almost every crochet project. We're going to create a slip knot with both ends of yarn in my left hand and a loop in my right hand. I'll cross the loop over itself and put my fingers inside the loop in order to grab the working yarn. Then I'll draw that down tight, and there we go. I'm going to place the slip knot on my hook and then chain 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And there we go. When working a double crochet from a foundation chain, we work into the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is going to be the first stitch that we actually crochet into. So keeping that in mind, let's do the double crochet stitch. The double crochet stitch starts with a yarn over. So wrap the yarn around your hook. Then insert the hook into that chain stitch. There will be one loop from the chain stitch on your hook. Then wrap the yarn around the hook again and pull that wrapped yarn through the chain stitch. There will still be 3 loops on your hook at this point. Then wrap the yarn around the hook again and pull through 2 of the loops that are on the hook. Then wrap the yarn around the hook again and pull through the remaining 2 loops. That is a double crochet stitch. The chains that we skipped at the beginning of this row make up the edge of our crochet work. Let's do the next stitch. So when we wrap the yarn around the hook, in patterns this is often called yarn over. So yarn over, insert the hook into the chain stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. You've got 3 on the hook, yarn over again, pull through 2 of the loops, yarn over again, and pull through the remaining 2 loops. And then you've got a double crochet stitch. Yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Those are double crochets. Let me show you a little bit more smoothly from a bit of a distance. There is one double crochet. Yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is how we do a double crochet. We're just going to work our way across this bottom chain to practice the double crochet stitch. Take your time, remember when you need to wrap your yarn around the hook in those yarn overs, and remember that every time you're pulling through, you're just pulling through 2 loops at a time. Makes it a little bit more obvious, a little bit more easy to remember. When you think double crochet, you want 2 loops on the hook and you want to pull through 2 loops at a time, like double double. So yarn over, pull up a loop, double, pull through 2 loops, double, pull through 2 loops. And there's your double crochet. I'm just going to zoom to the end of this first chain row to show you what we're going to do to bring ourselves up to the next row for our double crochets. So when you're using the double crochet stitch in a project, you want to make your initial chain whatever you want the initial chain to be, plus an additional 3 stitches. Because remember, we're putting our stitches in the 4th chain from the hook. So you have to add 3 stitches to whatever your chain is supposed to be. Here I am at the last chain of the row. This was the first chain stitch we made. I'm going to yarn over, insert into that last chain stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we've completed our first double crochet row. From here, we need to move our work up in order to get working on the second row. To do that with double crochet, we chain 2, chain 1, and chain 2, and then turn the work around. Now we're going to be working back the way that we had just come. So, first things first, we're going to put a double crochet in the first stitch. We don't put any crochets into these chain stitches. These are just working chains. They work up the row. So, yarn over and insert into the first stitch, none of the chains. When we're working into the top of a crochet stitch, we want 2 loops in that stitch to be on the hook. If a pattern says yarn over and insert into the front loop only, you can see there's 2 options for where to put your hook here. You can put it either into the front loop, like this, or you can put it into the back loop, like this. For a regular double crochet though, we put it through both, into the top part of each of the stitches. So yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And that is the first stitch of the row. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we'll repeat that all the way across in the tops of each of the stitches. The double crochet stitch is also really cool because of how quickly it grows a project. Since the stitch is so tall, it's about double the height of a single crochet. So in one row, you're getting 2 rows in terms of the height of single crochets. So if you're making something that's very large, a double crochet stitch can come in handy. Here I am at the end of my second row. I've got 1 double crochet stitch left here and then the chain for the side of the row. So I'm going to put my last double crochet into the last stitch of the row, just as usual. And then in order to keep this row nice and straight, I'm going to also add an additional double crochet stitch into the space left behind by that chain 3. So you can see this stitch lines up perfectly with that last stitch. But if we were to just ignore that chain 3, we would have an uneven edge to the work. So what I like to do is a double crochet into the hole left by the chain 3. So yarn over, insert into that big space between those 2 stitches, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. This will reduce and remove the gap, so you'll have a nice straight edge on your crochet work. To get us up to row number 3, I'll begin with a chain 2 and turn. Row number 3 is going to be the exact same as row number 2. We're going to start with a yarn over and we're going to do a double crochet into the first stitch of the row, right there. Just like that. And we're going to double crochet in each stitch all the way across, and I will show you at the end of row number 3 how we're going to finish the row and get ourselves up to row number 4. Here I am at the end of row number 3, and at the end of the row I'm going to put my last double crochet into the last stitch of the row. And now we're going to chain 2. Chain 1 and chain 2, and then turn the work. Now for row number 4, we'll start the way we did for row number 3 and row number 2 with a double crochet in the first stitch of the row. Then double crochet across 1 time in each stitch all the way across. Here I am coming up to the end of row number 4, and this is going to be the exact same as it was for row number 3. So I'm going to put my last double crochet stitch into the last stitch of the row, and then I'll chain 1, chain 2, and turn, just like that. Isn't that a pretty stitch? Now from here on, we're going to do the exact same thing until our rectangle is as high as it is wide. We want the length to be the same as the width so that we have a nice square dish rag or washcloth. It will be nicer if we have it nice and even and square. So for me, I believe that's going to be about 15 rows, but I'll come back after I finish crocheting them. I'm zooming through it now, and I will show you how many rows it took to get a square when we started off with 22 stitches in the row. Yeah, we started with a chain of 25, then we double crocheted into the 4th chain from the hook, so 22, right? 23? Anyway, I'll let you know how many I end up with. See you then. Here I am coming up to the last row that I need to do, and it turns out it's 12 rows, not 15, so I had 22 stitches in my row. I needed 12 rows to make a square, so I'm putting my last double crochet into there, and I'm going to pull that through, and look, I won at Yarn Chicken. So now we have a nice square of fabric. We want to add a little border onto this to make it a washcloth, so I'm going to have to use a different yarn for that. Before I attach my new yarn though, I am going to turn my work clockwise 90 degrees, and we're going to be working down the side of the rows for this next part. I'm going to do this with some gray yarn. So I am going to attach my yarn at this last stitch that we did. Let me zoom you in. So right here at the corner, I am going to insert my hook between the last stitch and the second last stitch, right here. And I'm going to grab onto my gray yarn, and I'm going to pull up a loop. Then I'm going to drop the tail of the gray yarn, and with the working yarn, I will chain 2. There's 1, and there's 2. And then I'm going to put another double crochet stitch into the same space. There's 1 and 2. So now we have a chain 2 and a double crochet. We're going to now put 1 double crochet stitch in the top of each double crochet stitch and 1 double crochet stitch in the big space beside it. So we'll have 1 stitch right here, yarn over, insert into the top of that stitch, and complete a double crochet. And then this big space at the beginning of the stitch, we'll do another double crochet stitch right there. And then now we're back at the top of the next row. We'll put a double crochet stitch in there. And then in the body of that stitch, we'll put another double crochet stitch there. The reason we're putting 2 double crochet stitches per row is because the double crochet stitch is basically 2 rows tall. So we need to add an additional double crochet into the side of the stitch so that we don't have puckering and tightness around the outside of the work. So from here, I'm just going to double crochet all the way down to the corner. All right, I've made it to the end of my row, so I've gone down the entire project, and now I'm back at a corner. So in this corner, I'm going to put 3 double crochet stitches. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. The reason we're putting 3 stitches in the corner is to help us turn the corner. So we have our last stitch of the row, then a diagonal stitch for our corner, and now our first stitch of this row. From here, we're going to put 1 double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way across. So we're working along the bottom chain of our work right now. So I'm just going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch, the bottom of the chain, to get us to the next corner. This is just going to create a nice border around the outside of our dishcloth. Here I am at the end of the row. In this last stitch, I'm going to again put 3 double crochet stitches. Again, by putting 3, it's helping us turn around the corner to work in the other direction. From here, I'm going to do the same thing I did down the other side of the work. I'm going to put 1 double crochet in the long part of each stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the top of each stitch for the row all the way down. So each row is getting 2 double crochet stitches, one in the long part, one in the top of the stitch. The next one will go here in the long part and then at the top of the stitch. Again, because the double crochet stitch is a tall stitch and we don't want to have the border be tighter than the actual stitches. All right, I've made it to the last corner, and at this corner, again, I'm gonna put 3 double crochets into the corner stitch to help me turn the corner. And for this last row, I'm gonna put 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across until I get back to where I started. I'll meet you there to show you how we're gonna wrap this project up. All right, I've made it to the last stitch of the row, and we've got these 2 stitches in the corner. So we're gonna put a 3rd stitch. It's our last stitch, but it'll be the 3rd stitch in the corner. And then into the chain 2 we started, I'm going to slip stitch that round together. Now I'm gonna cut my yarn, pull that stitch through, and weave in that end. And here it is, our simple dishcloth with the double crochet stitch. What do you think? Gosh, I love making dishcloths with different stitches. I feel like they are just such a handy little thing to have, and they're a great practice run for all of your new stitches. You can see the double crochet stitch leaves a nice gap between the stitches, which is nice for a scrubby dishcloth or a scrubby washcloth. I love how this stitch looks. It's a little bit taller than what you get with a half double crochet, and there's a lot more airy gappiness. Let me show you in comparison to the half double crochet, for example. The half double crochet is significantly denser of a stitch. The double has all this room in between the stitches. The single crochet is even more dense, with almost no room between the stitches. Isn't that fun? Lots of good practice. So I hope you give it a shot and master the double crochet stitch with this simple tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everyone who's supporting the channel right now. Here is the list of channel supporters. Thank you guys. If you want to join and support the channel as well, check out the links in the description box down below. Lots of ways and links there to support the channel, and thank you for doing so. And by the way, if you liked this video and if it helped you practice your double crochet stitch, don't forget to click the thumbs up button. It helps the channel grow, and I would really appreciate it. Anyways, friends, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!